Every time I come to Canada, a little more of Canada seeps into my bloodstream, and from there, straight to my heart.
An historic moment on Parliament Hill. King Charles III delivered the speech from the throne, the first time a reigning monarch has made the speech in nearly 50 years. Good evening. The King highlighted Canada's strength and independence in the speech, which lays out the government's priorities for the new legislative session.
His remarks come amid Canada's strained relationship with the U.S. CTV's Mike Lecouteur reports.
At a moment when Canada's sovereignty is being challenged, the country's sovereign delivered a pointed message of strength to the world. A ceremony steeped in tradition for a speech that was meant to reinforce the country's future.
I've always had the greatest admiration for Canada's unique identity, which is recognized across the world for bravery and sacrifice in defense of national values and for the diversity and kindness of Canadians.
Against the backdrop of a U.S. president who wants to take over Canada, generations of prime ministers and premiers sat shoulder to shoulder as King Charles III asserted the country's place in the world, and in particular, North America.
The Prime Minister and the President of the United States, for example, have begun defining a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States, rooted in mutual respect and founded on common interests, to deliver transformational benefits for both sovereign nations.
The 25-minute speech reiterated Prime Minister Mark Carney's promises to make life more affordable for Canadians while investing in nation-building projects and diversifying trade. But the most pointed moment came when the King put his own stamp on the message.
As the anthem reminds us, the true North is indeed strong and free.
A phrase that didn't mention Donald Trump by name, but he was clearly the intended audience.
I think it is a message. I think, and a reminder not just to him, but to other Americans, that their best neighbor, I mean, their closest neighbor and their best friend is the same, only different.
Others were more blunt about how American lawmakers, and in particular Trump, should see and hear today's speech from the throne.
That Canadian sovereignty is not to be disrespected, that any relationship we have going forward on trade, the economy, defense, all has to be grounded in respect for the independence of Canada and our democracy.
The message was echoed by members of opposition parties. However, this speech will be the first test of Carney's government when MPs put it to a confidence vote in the House of Commons.
We did see a lot of the right slogans and political talking points, but no clear plans to get it done.
Now, the NDP has said there are some things they could support in that throne speech, and those 7 votes would be enough for the Liberals to get it passed. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
In addition to delivering the throne speech, King Charles and Queen Camilla greeted crowds throughout a series of events in the nation's capital.
CTV's Abigail Beeman has more on the royal reception for the couple in Ottawa.
The expression is fit for a king. And thousands lined the streets to watch Canada deliver a carefully crafted event designed to be just that.
I think it's like very important for the identity of Canada.
I believe that their subtle support is being shown.
Excitement to see the Prime Minister, too, who described himself as the warm-up act. A horse-drawn carriage delivered the King and Queen to the Senate, where a 100-member honor guard from the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment gave him a royal salute. His Majesty received a 21-gun salute, too, and spoke to as many people as he could, both inspecting the troops and in the crowd, before and after the throne speech.
It's very powerful, very moving, very Canadian.
Their Majesty's final event, laying a wreath to mark the 25th anniversary of the tomb of the unknown soldier. Then some goodbyes, and they were off. The conclusion of a whirlwind trip, roughly just 24 hours. But as the king noted at the beginning of his throne speech, his 20th visit to Canada and his first as king. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Turning to local news, police are investigating a fire at a Scarborough restaurant as a case of arson.
It comes after 2 previous arsons in Scarborough last week. Now police confirming 2 of the cases are connected. CTV's Beth Macdonald has been following the investigation. She joins us live with more. Beth.
Michelle, people are shocked. There's been 3 suspected arsons within just 5 days in the same part of Scarborough. It's not clear why these businesses may have been targeted, but police believe 2 of the fires are connected. The front windows are smashed and there's a jerry can sitting on a table, all while Toronto police officers keep a close eye on the burnt-out Greek cafe. It's the 3rd Scarborough establishment hit by suspected arsonists in the early morning hours over the past 5 days. All are within a few minutes' drive of one another.
This is ridiculous. Lots of crime going on these days. I don't know what is happening,
Video obtained by CTV News stamped at 3:13 a.m. Tuesday shows an orange glow in the right corner of Famous Plaza on Birchmount as a suspect with white shoes runs across the parking lot. Fire crews pull in 5 minutes later. As word of the destruction spread, regulars showed up. They say they're going to miss watching sports and playing cards here.
I come here, I see my friends and joke. Some people play $5, $4, $1 in a room to pass the time, and that's it.
Bad for this place, because a lot of people, old people, retirement people, they come spend 2-3 hours there.
But police believe this fire is not linked to 2 other suspicious fires at Indian restaurants on Lawrence near Kennedy, which they say are connected. One Saturday where 2 suspects are seen lighting a flame and throwing it inside before a larger fire erupts and they take off. Police now releasing these images of that fire along with one of a silver SUV, possibly a Honda CR-V, with a purple light in the front dash. The other Friday, police say, involved 3 masked suspects who broke in and poured accelerant around the restaurant while staff were still inside, but managed to get out safely.
We understand that these events are concerning to the community and local business owners. We want to assure the public that these investigations are active and ongoing, and we're committed to identifying those responsible.
Around the Greek Cafe, there are many cameras at the back and front, with all the angles visible on a screen inside. Police say this investigation is in the early stages and is being treated separately from the fires at the Indian restaurants. At this most recent fire here on Birchmount, police say so far there is no suspect information. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonald. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. The SIU's invoked its mandate following a crash in Burlington.
2 people were taken to hospital as a result of the incident near Appleby Line and Derry Road. CTV's Sean Lathong has been following the investigation. He joins us live now from Burlington with more. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, I can tell you the SIU has just updated the story, and it appears to be a police pursuit very early this morning that resulted in the car flipping over with 2 people going to hospital, 5 people being arrested. Now, from what the SIU tell us, about 3 o'clock this morning, there were a number of home invasions, 2 home invasions called into police approximately 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, one in Oakville, one in Milton. Now, Halton police made contact with a white sedan that they tracked, and they say that they made contact with the vehicle, or they noticed the vehicle at around number 2 side road. Now, that's about 6 kilometers south of here. They started to follow that vehicle, and then, according to the SIU, Halton Regional Police deployed a tire deflation device at around number 4 side road. Now, that's relevant because that's still about 4 kilometers from where we're standing. From there, the white sedan actually hit a hydro pole, managing to flip over and bringing part of that hydro pole down at about 4:30 this morning. Now, 2 people were taken to hospital. It was a 16-year-old teenager and a 24-year-old male. They're There were 3 other males in the car. All of them have been taken into custody. The injuries of the 2 were taken to hospital were considered serious but non-life-threatening. Now, early this morning, Halton police were investigating, but towards the afternoon, the province's Special Investigations Unit invoked their mandate. It is done anytime there's injury or death involving police, and since that time, they've since released that information. Now, anyone who was involved in the home invasion, there were no injuries there in the 2 home invasions, but we do know that 5 people have been arrested. 2 were taken to hospital with serious injuries, and as it goes right now, there's hydro crews working in the area behind me. They have removed the car a little while ago. It appeared to be a white Honda Civic or possibly a Honda Accord sedan, 4-door, and the scene appears to be closed for some time, but power has been restored to much of the area. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. I'll send it back inside.
Thank you, Sean. Police are investigating a rollover in North York. It happened shortly after 3:30 this afternoon near Don Mills and York Mills. Police say 2 vehicles collided in the area, with one rolling over. 2 people suffered minor injuries. The cause of the crash is still under investigation.
2 more people are facing charges in connection with a double homicide in Riverdale last month. This viewer video capturing the moment police, including tactical officers, arrested both suspects at a home in Barrie Monday evening. 18-year-old Abdul Rahman Zain and a 17-year-old boy, both from Toronto, have each been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the deaths of Quinton Gaza there and Jeremy McNeil. Both men were fatally shot while sitting in a vehicle near Bain and Logan Avenues back on April 15th. Police have previously charged another 17-year-old boy with first-degree murder.
We know this incident has caused great sadness and concern in the Riverdale community. 2 young lives have been lost to violence, and many lives have been changed forever. We hope that these arrests offer some reassurance that those responsible are being held accountable.
Police haven't revealed a motive, but say the investigation is ongoing. Both of the accused made separate court appearances today. More than 8,000 Hudson's Bay employees will be out of work by Sunday as Canada's oldest company completes its liquidation.
Today, workers rallied to show their solidarity in the face of closures. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
Who's going to pay? Hudson's Bay! Workers gather outside a Hudson's Bay hub that once had 350 full-time employees. Now just 7 are inside as their final day gets closer.
I'm here this week. Maybe next week.
There's no severance on the horizon, making the coming months appear bleak.
Scary because we have no recourse.
And finding a new job is not easy.
I got people like me who are older, right? And the prospect for a job is very hard.
Hudson's Bay filed a motion on Monday stating that by June 1st, the company will have terminated approximately 8,347, or approximately 89% of its employees. An additional 899 of the remaining employees are expected to be terminated on or around June 15th. It adds the employees will be paid their accrued vacation pay at their date of termination. However, the company does not expect any other termination or severance payments to be paid.
They are at the back of the line to get their severance, which they should be entitled to.
Unifor is calling on Hudson's Bay to honor its legal severance obligations and pushing for reform of the federal insolvency law.
Many of them are having their pensions now rescinded or pension payments rescinded. They're losing medical benefits or dental benefits that they might have otherwise had. Certainly a very cold end to this saga involving Hudson's Bay.
Shoppers, meanwhile, are buying everything from shelving and hanging racks to rugs.
They're selling everything off the floor, so I figured, well, you know what, I could use this somewhere in my rec room in the basement. I said, well, okay, how much is that? So I see people rolling them up, 80%, whatever.
$20 deal for rugs, you cannot beat that.
This is all less than $100, this 4 carpets.
Yeah, it's weird seeing all like the mannequins being sold and stuff. It's like a ghost town in there. It's weird. It's like a legacy just gone.
6 days remain before it closes its doors for good. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
The city's launching an initiative aimed at making it easier for residents to sign up for local programs.
The pilot program will see residents living near 6 recreational centers given access to programs a week before registration opens to the general public. CTV's Natalie Johnson reports.
Rabia Al-Sabai lives just a few blocks away from this state-of-the-art community center in Regent Park, but for years couldn't get her kids into the free sports and activities here.
It's like you are trying this basket, to put the ball there, basketball, so trying to give your shot, but there is very high chance it will not be there.
Part of the problem, the programming put in place for this priority neighborhood was being flooded by residents coming in from right across the city.
When I started to share my experience with other neighbors and other people in the community, no, we have been, struggling with this for a long time.
Most of the programs are filled with people that are not from the local area.
The mayor announcing today a pilot project to ensure equitable access, giving local residents the chance to sign up for the free programming before the rest of the city.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to be the community centers being so in demand. And we're very pleased with it, but at the same time, we think the local neighbors should have a priority first.
Early registration will be available for residents in the catchments of 6 free community centers: Antibes, Centennial, Falstaff, Pan McConnell, Regent Park, and Scarborough Village.
We're trying to keep it very local, so between 1 to 2 kilometers of the community center would be the postal codes that have eligibility.
Giving priority to the people the centers are designed to serve. City staff will assess how the early registration system works at these 6 locations, if effective, hoping to expand it to all 37 free rec centers in Toronto. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
More news in a moment, but first let's take a live look at our fair city tonight. A solid dose of sunshine and warmth. You can see clouds, they've moved in, definitely, but it's still very lovely out there this hour. Lindsay Morrison has the details for us. What are you seeing, Lindsay?
Well, interestingly enough, Michelle, we're actually going to see some of this cloud move back out. We are clearing from west to east, might make for a pretty nice sunset tonight, but you'll also notice a fair amount of active weather, mainly south of the border right now. That moves in for us tomorrow. At this hour, it is 18 degrees at the Toronto Islands, 21 at Pearson Airport. It's been another very seasonal, comfortable day. Teen temperatures closer to the lake thanks to an east wind. Here's a look at your evening at a glance. Again, we're going to clear to mainly sunny skies as the evening goes on, but have the umbrella handy for tomorrow. We'll talk about the rain on the way coming up. For now, though, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Material covering a statue of Sir John A. Macdonald outside of Queen's Park will soon be removed.
The statue has been covered since 2020 after being vandalized. Now it's set to be uncovered again amid ongoing discussions about potential changes to the monument. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
For almost 5 years at the edge of the Ontario Legislative grounds, a wooden box has concealed a statue of Canada's first Prime Minister. The monument of John A. Macdonald was vandalized in July 2020, a summer of racial reckoning after the murder of George Floyd, and Canada coming to grips with its history of residential schools, a system Macdonald is considered an architect of. This summer, the boards at Queen's Park are coming down.
We have to look at our history for all that it is, not just, one side of it. And I think that was a sentiment, and it was time.
The decision by a nonpartisan group to clean the statue, cover it with protective coating, and commit to working with First Nations going forward.
I can't change the history of our country, but I can make sure that while we're here and while we move forward, that we do it in a way that listens to Indigenous voices.
For the NDP's deputy leader and member of the Kingfisher Lake First Nation, this is about more than a statue.
It's a statue of oppression. It's a statue of colonialism. It's a statue of Indian residential schools.
The speaker overseeing the revamp of the statue gets that some Indigenous Ontarians may not welcome its return.
They have that right to express that, but hoarding a statue hasn't moved the needle.
Mamakwa, a survivor of a residential school, doesn't think his colleagues understand the hurt Macdonald still causes.
They don't have that lived experience of what we went through. We are still trying to find our kids our ancestors.
There's talk of more dialogue, more consultation with First Nations.
We want you. I want you to feel part of this parliament, of this legislature. We are about to undergo significant changes to the building.
But there won't be changes to the statue itself. No immediate plans for a detailed plaque near Macdonald. The focus is on greater inclusion when Queen's Park is remodeled and updated. A path Mamakwa wished he'd been given a heads up about.
Not as an MPP, but as a person.
There's still no timeline for the complete renovation of Queen's Park. It will involve a shutdown, last about 8 years, and cost an estimated $1 billion. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Heading overseas, police in Liverpool have provided an update on the arrest of a British man who allegedly drove a minivan into a crowd of people celebrating the city's Premier League championship.
We have arrested a 53-year-old man from West Derby on suspicion of attempted murder, dangerous driving offences and driving whilst unfit through drugs.
The suspect remains in custody and is still being interviewed. A total of 65 people were injured, with many requiring hospital treatment. A motive is still under investigation.
In the Gaza Strip, thousands of Palestinians converged on sites where aid was distributed by a private foundation, but its intent and efficiency are being questioned. By late afternoon, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said it handed out the equivalent of about 462,000 meals. The aid was available yesterday, but people appear to have listened to warnings about facial recognition technology at the distribution site. Many Palestinians fear the information will be used by Israel to track them. Today, some of the sites were stormed by people seeking food, resulting in Israeli gunfire at one location. The military said they were warning shots. Israel's endorsement of the U.S.-backed aid initiative has led to questions about the neutrality of the foundation. It's been boycotted by the UN and other international relief groups. The U.S. insists the concerns are unfounded and says the most important priority is getting aid into Gaza. The Americans also say Hamas tried to stop convoys from getting to distribution centers.
U.S. President Donald Trump renewed his 51st state talk today while posting online about a planned missile defense system. The U.S. president said this on Truth Social last hour. I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that it will cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer. The Golden Dome system would employ ground and space-based weapons to detect and destroy hostile missiles. Prime Minister Mark Carney said last week Canada is looking at potential investments in the proposed $175 billion project. Meantime, the Trump administration is threatening to cancel remaining federal contracts with Harvard University. Billions of dollars in federal research grants for the school have already been canceled. Harvard has sued to restore the funding, arguing the cuts are an unconstitutional attack on its free speech rights. On Friday, a judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from revoking Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students.
Competitors took a tumble down a hill in England today, all in pursuit of a wheel of cheese. This was the scene at the Cooper's Hill cheese rolling competition. Competitors chased a wheel of double Gloucester cheese more than 180 meters down a grassy hill. Whoever reaches the bottom first is the winner. Now, this cheesy tradition dates back to the 19th century.
Still to come, the Minnesota Frost have been crowned PWHL champions. We'll have more on their second straight Walter Cup victory when we return.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, more people are having difficulties paying their car loans. And if you miss payments, you could have your vehicle repossessed. One woman says after 2 missed payments, her car was towed away and sold at auction. I'll have that story just ahead.
Seasonal temperatures tonight and partly cloudy skies. Interestingly enough, we're going to wake up tomorrow morning with a mix of sun and cloud. It's into the afternoon and then the evening hours that we see some showers and maybe some steady periods of rain. How much is in the forecast and when will we dry out again? A look at your weather forecast is coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
A report from Equifax found more Canadians are having trouble making their car payments. And if you miss payments, your vehicle could be repossessed.
If it happens to you, there could be additional charges to get your car back, and it could have a negative effect on your credit rating. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. It's getting more expensive to repair vehicles, and many people are trying to keep their older cars on the road longer. You can now get quick loans for repairs, as well as tires and rims. But if you miss payments, your car can be repossessed.
It's been horrible with the whole situation.
Ruslan St. Jean of Brampton says when she finished college, her mother gifted her 2014 Mitsubishi Outlander. But at the time, her mom was still paying off a loan she had for tires and rims.
The vehicle was under my name, but the loan is under my mom's name. But she was steadily making the payments for it.
St. Jean's mother borrowed about $3,000 over 4 years and was paying $115 a month. But when she missed 2 payments in March, the SUV was repossessed from their driveway.
So it was just 2 payments that was missed at that time because my father, he wasn't working.
St. Jean was told with added towing and storage fees and other charges, she would have to pay about $2,000 to get the vehicle back. But it was money she didn't have.
I know I don't have $2,000 just sitting in my bank account. There's a big chance I won't see my car ever again.
St. Jean's mother had the loan with Fix 4 Capital. The company said for privacy reasons it couldn't go into detail, but a spokesperson told CTV News, "We can confirm the vehicle in question is currently in our possession and the customer has not taken the necessary steps to redeem it. All procedures were followed from the time of default to the repossession of the vehicle."
So we have definitely seen an increase in car repossessions.
Canadian Debt Relief, which provides information on debt and personal finance, says as soon as you receive a notice of repossession, you should contact your lender right away.
If you contact your lender at the first missed payment, you may be able to discuss deferral or restructuring options, attempt a private sale on your own, look for refinancing options with credit unions or alternative lenders who may be able to offer more flexible payment terms.
If your car has been repossessed, it can also affect your credit rating and make getting future loans more difficult. St. Jean says her car has now been sold at auction, and she has no idea how she'll get to work.
I'm not going to have my car. Just thinking about it, it's hard.
And before agreeing to short-term quick loans, make sure you review all your options. Some companies may charge interest rates of 20% or more, and you may be able to find cheaper options somewhere else. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, today was one of those days where it would have been great if you had a chance to get outside and enjoy the sunshine. It was lovely.
Second gorgeous day in a row, and hopefully you did enjoy it because we are moving into a little bit of an unsettled stretch, but I feel like it's not as bad as what we had last week.
Nothing like last week when we had a multi-day rain event and it was quite cool. I will say for any kids or even adults who have Wednesday evening sports to attend outside, well, you might find it canceled once again, or at the very least, maybe slightly disrupted by a little bit of incoming rain, but it's not a washout tomorrow. In fact, we're going to start off with some sunshine. Let's show you what it looked like a little earlier today around the GTA. In fact, our CTV News chopper was flying high above Lake Ontario and caught this scene. This is a sign of summer, I think. Folks heading out on their jet skis. That looks like fun to me. Overall conditions today were pretty pleasant. It was comfortable temperature-wise. We did have a layer of cloud that, very high cloud, cirrus clouds that hovered over southern Ontario for a good portion of the day. Now we're starting to see those clouds clear a little bit. So if you're joining us from southwestern Ontario or now anywhere close to the shoreline of Lake Huron, you're likely seeing a little more in the way of sun. And that is expected to continue as we make our way into the night tonight. There is plenty of active weather stateside, though, and a low pressure system is going to slide in and bring us wet weather during the day tomorrow. It doesn't really arrive until the afternoon, and it's not a whole lot of rain. At this point, it looks like anywhere from 5 to maybe 15 millimeters here in the GTA. So so just enough to maybe impact the garden and the lawn positively. There's your Wednesday morning mix of sun and cloud. If you're joining us from Muskoka and through eastern sections of Ontario, even more in the way of sunshine for you tomorrow. But by midway through the afternoon, we're getting into some wet weather. Looks like some steadier rainfall as we head through the evening and overnight. Waking up on Thursday, chance of showers still. Thursday itself is a mostly dry day. It's likely to be cloudy with some spotty showers, but overall not a washout by any means. And then Friday, we're back into a mix of sun and cloud. Best chance for wet weather on Friday is going to come in the nighttime hours. 21 degrees is where we stand right now, temperature-wise. Overnight tonight, we're forecasting a low of 12. That, too, is near normal. And then tomorrow, we're talking temperatures still in the teens, but noticeably cooler than today and yesterday. About 15 degrees in Burlington, 18 in Aurora. Still going to hold on to some warmth in Huntsville, as mentioned, a little more in the way of sunshine during the day tomorrow for that part of the province. 7-day forecast looks like this. Back up around 21 degrees for your Friday. And then the weekend looks to be dry at this point, but likely a little bit cool. Mix of sun and cloud for Saturday, a high of only 17, 18 degrees for the first day of June on Sunday. Overall condition-wise, though, the early part of the new month is looking pretty sunny and pretty bright. That's your look at the forecast for now. Dream of a world free from the fear of cancer. The Princess Margaret Cottage Lottery is back this summer. The last lottery sold out, so buy early. Over 10,000 prizes will be awarded, valued at more than $10 million. That includes the grand prizes built by Linwood Custom Homes and designed by Lakeshore Designs, a $2.8 million Halliburton lakefront cottage, plus $50,000 cash, a $2.7 million Kawartha lakefront cottage, plus $50,000 cash, and a $2.6 million Muskoka lakefront cottage, plus $50,000 cash. All cottages are fully furnished, professionally decorated, naturally landscaped with direct lake access. Get your tickets today at princessmargaretlotto.com or by calling 1-866-631-1234. That's the weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, the Minnesota Frost are Walter Cup champions once again, winning their second straight PWHL title.
For eyes on 16. Minnesota working in the zone. In front, a chance here.
Liz Capers scored in overtime to lift the Frost to a 2-1 victory over the Ottawa Charge. Minnesota is the only team to have hoisted the Walter Cup in the PWHL's first 2 seasons. The Ottawa Charge were the first Canadian team to play for the trophy.
Also tonight, Bathurst businesses sound the alarm over priority transit lanes. Why plans to get people moving quicker along the key route have store owners warning of closures. %20 of all deaths across the globe are tied to sepsis. The chances of dying increase each hour an antibiotic treatment is delayed.
But a Canadian-led breakthrough is hoping to save millions of lives. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
Often referred to as blood poisoning, every passing minute is crucial.
It affects old and young alike.
A 2020 report estimates that 75,000 cases of sepsis occurs in Canada every year, leading to roughly 18,000 deaths. Critical care doctor Claudio Dos Santos and a team of researchers across Canada believe they found a blood test that can predict a patient's likelihood of developing sepsis by harnessing the power of AI. The team located 6 genes that appear in high levels when someone goes into septic shock. The test is being put into practice using this device, initially created in part by the Canadian Space Agency.
The blood test actually allows us to predict with 88% certainty how a patient will deteriorate in the next 24 hours.
How vital is it to have that lead time for something like sepsis?
Every hour of delay in medical management increases mortality by about 8%.
In January, 29-year-old Selena Klinger-Evans began having contractions. She and her husband arrived here at this hospital in London, Ontario. Following a C-section, they welcomed the healthy arrival of a baby boy named Isaiah. 2 days later, the young mother died in hospital.
By Saturday evening, it was not looking good. And then by Sunday morning, we get the news that she's gone.
Klinger-Evans' cause of death, septic shock due to Group A Streptococcus sepsis. Dr. Dos Santos is hoping her discovery will bring an end to the sudden death of far too many Canadians.
This is a first step towards relieving a lot of the suffering of patients and families and caregivers and loved ones that live with the aftermath of sepsis.
The next step is for a clinical trial inside ERs and ICUs this fall to see how the device informs the decisions of doctors. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Local businesses are expressing concern about traffic changes in one Midtown neighborhood.
Transit users say the improvements are needed, but some business owners say they could result in closures. CTV's John Musselman reports.
All along this stretch of Bathurst Street near DuPont, signs like these are appearing in storefront windows, a warning that these businesses could be in jeopardy if the city goes ahead with a new proposal to improve traffic and transit on Bathurst Street.
They're going to remove all curb lane access to both parking, delivery, service vehicles, renovation vehicles. Basically, our day-to-day lifestyle is going to be uprooted.
Here's a look at the key changes proposed by the city. It would include installing priority bus lanes in the northbound and southbound curb lanes from Bloor Street up to Eglinton, and installing priority streetcar lanes in the center of the street from Bloor Street south to Lakeshore. This transit rider says any improvements on Bathurst Street would be helpful.
It's a little bit slow. I think it would be nice if they were to possibly hurry it up just a little bit.
But business owners say consultation was limited. David Dunkley's fine millinery store has been on Bathurst Street for nearly 2 decades.
There is all kinds of traffic, and we know the traffic flow. And I can assure you between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. we're busy, but between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., it's normal traffic as it would be anywhere else in the city.
In a statement, the city writes Bathurst Street is a key north-south route for thousands of TTC customers, and it's known to have slow and unreliable service because buses and streetcars are operating in mixed traffic. A priority transit lane on Bathurst Street will improve service, making transit easier and more convenient choice for everyone. Business owners say they have been targeted on social media for opposing the plans, but they make no apologies for defending their livelihoods.
And we're receiving the backlash for that. So we're taking it on the chin as we have to because, it's democracy. We should all have a voice in how things are being done and changed.
The buses are going to run approximately 7 minutes quicker.
The city says it takes 75% longer riding transit on Bathurst than it does driving, and the transportation improvements are needed to handle upcoming major events, including next summer's World Cup. John Musselman, CTV News.
After more than 2 decades at the forefront of Canadian dance, principal dancer Guillaume Cote is ready to hang up his shoes.
But as CTV's Pauline Chan tells us, he's not stepping entirely away from the spotlight.
Guillaume Cote grew up in a small Quebec town where his parents ran a dance school. He later trained at the National Ballet School before joining the company in 1998, quickly climbing the ranks to become a principal in 2004, dancing virtually all the biggest roles.
Nijinsky was one of the highlights. I danced on that stage, the Ballet Nijinsky, and it was in Paris at the same theater where Nijinsky performed 100 years ago. Alexei Ratmansky's Romeo and Juliet was really special. Because that production ended up taking me to Moscow, to the Bolshoi.
But he says it's the rehearsal studio more than the stage that he'll really miss.
Really beautiful moments of a shared passion, of a shared intensity from your coach to the entire room, to 75 dancers, working to make something greater than ourselves.
And that end is coming soon.
I retire on June 5th, and June 6th is Burn Baby Burn happening at the Bluma Appel with a company that we sort of launched a few years ago.
Throughout his career, Cote has always been involved in choreography. Cote Danse was formed during the pandemic.
We do take some of this classicism that I love, this technique, the virtuosity, but then we also turn it on its head.
I feel incredibly lucky to work with such an incredible and sincere artist as he is.
Dimitri is one of those people that feels like he's right there in that moment, and he just lets go of what's coming or what came before, and that comes with an element of risk, where he pushes himself.
Burn Baby Burn was inspired by Cote's young son's fears about global warming.
I remember him saying how much that shocked him and how that really changed his perspective on how the world is changing.
Cote's final program with the National Ballet, entitled Adieu, runs from May 30th to June 5th at the Four Seasons Centre.
And I just hope that on that night I feel like I've given it all and I was honest about my career.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Still to come, a new survey finds more people are planning on carrying their mortgage into retirement. The fresh financial insight when we come back.
The government's overarching goal, its core mission, is to build the strongest economy in the G7.
Updating our top stories, King Charles III delivered the throne speech today, highlighting the government's priorities for the current legislative session. His visit marks the first time in nearly 50 years a monarch delivered the speech. It comes amid Canada's strained relationship with the U.S.
At this time, we do believe that these two incidents are connected.
Police say fires deliberately set at 2 Indian restaurants this past weekend are linked and have released images of the suspects. Both restaurants are located near Kennedy and Lawrence. Investigators say a third fire, which broke out at a Greek restaurant this morning, is not linked to the other 2 incidents.
I don't suspect that there is going to be, a long list of employers in the retail sector looking to hire these folks.
Thousands of Hudson's Bay employees will be out of a job by Sunday. That's when Canada's oldest company is set to complete its liquidation. Now more than 8,300 employees have already started looking for new jobs.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
The federal Liberals have taken a step towards officially getting rid of consumer carbon pricing. They tabled a notice of motion in the House of Commons today, signaling an intention to repeal the law. The government used regulations to end the tax in March after Mark Carney became Prime Minister. He called the policy too divisive. The PM has promised to strengthen the industrial carbon tax, but has not said how or when that will happen.
Tesla sales in Europe dropped nearly 50% last month, even as growth in the electric vehicle market picked up. Roughly 7,200 Tesla vehicles were sold in Europe in April, according to the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. That's down from more than 14,000 compared to the same month last year. The decline comes amid backlash to the brand over CEO Elon Musk's ties to the Trump administration.
A new survey finds many people are planning on carrying their mortgage into retirement. The Leger survey, which was conducted on behalf of Royal LePage, found 29% of Canadians say they will continue to pay their mortgage after retiring. Nearly 50% of people say they are not planning to downsize their home after they stop working.
Right now, we're finding people behaving like they're just the same as when they're working, but without a job. Yeah. So they're carrying a mortgage later. Of course, they're retiring later. It's just creeping up over time and living considerably longer, about 50% longer after retirement than their grandparents did. So it makes sense.
The survey also notes the average age of retirees in Canada has been gradually increasing. The average retirement age was just over 65 years old in 2024. That's up from roughly 64 years old in 2020.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Still to come, preparing for patio season. We'll have more on some of the latest offerings at the Well on Wellington Street when we come back.
The national pride behind an extraordinary event and a significant throne speech.
It's like very important for the identity of Canada.
Canada's sovereignty reinforced and how it could reshape the country's future. Later on CTV National News, live from Ottawa.
With warmer weather arriving, preparations are underway for patio season.
CTV Jessica Smith stopped by the Well earlier today to check out some of the new offerings for the upcoming summer season.
After a soggy and cool start to spring, warmer weather has finally arrived just in time for patio season.
This street on Wellington here at the Well is like absolutely full of energy, especially happy hour time in the summer. So like this is the place to be in Toronto.
The patio is primed at the Dorset. Located at the Well on Wellington Street, it has a British influence and is owned by a Canadian hospitality group. Their patio, one of many ready to welcome guests.
I'm a very proud Brit, but I'm also a proud Canadian. So I definitely love being able to showcase what we've got to give to everybody in Canada.
The Well is a multi-story open-air space that spans over 7 acres that offers up free community events like fashion shows, salsa lessons, and more.
Chat is coming, and we're also going to do K-pop. Every Saturday you'll have a market to experience. We're going to celebrate summer solstice. We're going to have Thursday night jazz.
With every business, big and small, all Canadian, in an ongoing effort to support local.
Then we have smaller, we'll call it inspiring brands that will embody everything that you think is Canadian, and proudly so.
Rounding out the month of May is a free live music series, and looking ahead to June, there are a number of events and activations in celebration of Pride. For more information, you can visit their social media channels or thewelltoronto.com. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Patio season. Yesterday, today, both amazing days to be on a patio. Tomorrow, depending on what time, I guess.
That's a good point. So this evening's looking good. Tomorrow morning's actually not looking bad. I don't know how many people are hitting up a patio in the morning hours, but here's a look at what you can expect. Mix of sun and cloud, and the temperature, not bad to start off the day. There's your morning start in the double digits. And then afternoon high, a little bit cooler than what we've experienced the last couple of days here. 16 is what we're forecasting. Again, wet weather is on the way. It looks to arrive sometime around mid-afternoon tomorrow, impacting your Wednesday evening and then overnight into Thursday. Thursday itself is not a washout of a day. In fact, we just have a chance of a few spotty showers. It will be cloudy. We're warming back up somewhat temporarily on Friday, and then the weekend looks dry, but a little cool. Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina at 11 tonight for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.